All right, hola, you guys. We are on part 3 of surviving a narcissist. How I became a single parent. I kind of went into detail about how we met. Excuse me, how I met the narcissist, and went into detail about what a narcissist is and what was it about me that attracted a narcissist. And like I said, I'm in no way saying that it's my fault or anybody else's fault. Any type of abuse, whether it's mental, verbal, emotional, or physical, no type of abuse is your fault. Like, none of it is your fault. Um, what I talked about previously is that we allow ourselves to be in relationships, um, and then if the person or your partner or really any type of relationship, parent, sibling, any type of relative, even any type of work relationship or a romantic relationship. Anytime you allow things, or anytime things happen, and like it's crossing a boundary, and you choose to stay after your boundaries have been crossed, then basically you're allowing that to happen. Um, and you're not setting a clear boundary, putting your foot down. That's one thing I learned about narcissists. They do not like boundaries. They don't have any boundaries. They don't put any boundaries on themselves, and they definitely don't want anybody else putting a boundary on them. Like I said, I was gonna continue on what was it about me that attracted the narcissist to me. Um, like I said, a lot of the different things that we learn as I was raised as a Christian, and a lot of the like core values of excuse me, Christianity or being a Christian is pretty much like flashing lights, like to a narcissist when you think about it. Okay, first thing I say, as far as being raised as a Christian, I'm very empathic and I'm very compassionate. Treat others the way they want to be treated. All those things. People pleasing, low self esteem, having codependency issues, unresolved childhood issues, idealism and optimism. Idealism and optimism, that is whenever basically you give people the benefit of the doubt, and that is what I think that's one of like the cornerstones of being a Christian. We are taught to give people the benefit of the doubt. Always think positive. Always give people another chance. That's what Jesus did. He didn't judge people, by what they did and their actions. He always felt like, they could always do better and be the best people they could possibly be. That's one of the characteristics that I have. And when I look back on my past and every relationship I've ever been in, the person had red flags. I just disregarded the red flags because, like I said, I give people the benefit of the doubt. Also, because of how I was raised, I was really raised really sheltered. So I wasn't really exposed to a lot of things when I was growing up. Like I had never really been around a person that was an alcoholic or that was smoking or like I didn't know what those signs were or what to look for. And like I was really taught to talk to somebody that went to the same church I went to. But I mean, I have history. I've been in about 3 or 4 different relationships with guys that went to the same church I went to, and yeah, that didn't work out either. I don't know what their childhood was like, or how they were raised, but they were not trying to do things the way the Bible said anyway. So me being raised as, oh, you need to do what the Bible says and live like the Bible says you're living, and then I get into a relationship with a person who is supposed to be like what they call equally yoked with me, and then we're in the relationship and they're basically acting like acting like the people that are what you was called so-called worldly, I'll say. Now I have a different outlook on that and relationships. I don't just put expectations on people. just because they claim to be a child of God, or they claim not to be a child of God. Like, we all have to, serve God for ourselves. We all have different beliefs, and I respect everybody's beliefs and boundaries. But after the experience I had with the narcissist, you know, um, that was a totally different, totally different experience than anybody else I've ever talked to or dealt with. Sometimes it was kind of mind blowing, but like I was saying, as far as being a Christian, we're taught to basically be people pleasers, and nothing I'm saying is negative in any way towards anyone that is, living a Christian life, or worshiping God. I'm not saying anything negative about anybody. I'm just speaking from my experience. We all have our own experiences. We all have our own perspective. We all have our own opinions, and we all have our own views of life. And I can't tell you what your experience is. It may be the same exact situation, but your experience will be different from my experience. Case in point, my ex has siblings, and every one of his siblings are different. As far as I saw, as far as I observed, he's the only he's the only one that turned out the way he turned out. As far as I observed, even in my own family, out of all of my uncles, all of us, we all turned out differently. Even though we were all pretty much raised the same way, we all turned out differently. And I'm sure, if you're listening to this, you can attest to the same thing. In your family, or people that like, in different families, even if you are put in the same circumstances, you all turn out, everybody turns out differently. I can't tell you how to feel or how to think about your experience, and you can't tell me how to think or feel about my experience either. Even if you deal with the same person, like the person that made me a single mom, he had different experiences with different women, and each woman got to experience a different version of him. So a lot of his exes were looking at me like, what was it about me that was causing him to, treat me differently than he treated them? But what they didn't know, they were on the outside looking in. They didn't know what I was dealing with behind closed doors. And it was a lot. It was a handful. As far as my childhood and my background, and what attracted me to him, with him being a narcissist, like I said, I was raised by older generation, raised by my grandparents. They believed in doing what the Bible, what they believed that the Bible wanted them to do, and that's pretty much how they raised us. And like I said, as far as people pleasing, I don't feel like they were trying to teach us, you got to do what people say, and you don't have a voice. But when you look at it, when you're raising your children, in a certain way, you don't realize that you are raising a person that's a people pleaser, a person that it's hard for them to tell other people no. It's hard for them. They don't like confrontation or conflict, and it's really based on how they're being raised. So it's also caused me to reflect on how I'm raising my boys, because I don't want them to turn out, to be narcissists, because I know whatever I say to them and however I treat them now, I'm their inner voice. And I have a pretty good idea of how he was raised, and whether we want to admit it or not, how we were raised, our childhood, directly affects, our adulthood. Like, it's in direct correlation. Like, there's no way to get around that. We make decisions right now based on, what happened to us in our childhood. So if you're dating a narcissist, or married to one, or whatever you want to call it, you can't survive. I'm living proof that you can't survive. I survived. I got out of that situation. I have two beautiful boys, and it's my goal and my determination that they will not be narcissists. They will be productive, and they will be loving, and they will be kind, and they will know how to love. And be socially and emotionally regulated.